My name is Gerald Saul. I'm a professor at the university in the film department. I'm other things. It depends what day of the week it is. What does it mean to be a filmmaker? In the 80s, we defined being a filmmaker as someone who actually finished a film. It was a bit of our arrogance. So I finished my first 16 millimeter film in 86. There's actually a pair of films. They're attached together. One is Ger film.
Someone asked me if it was like Frank film, and I said, no, Frank didn't work on it. I did.
Ger film, there was some extra film. Elaine Payne was teaching animation, and she said, there's still some film in the camera. Anybody want to shoot it? And I go, oh, I will, because that's how you get things done. You just volunteer for something without having any idea what you're doing. You know, the Bolex was loaded. It had probably 50 feet of film left, and I just grabbed a stack of National Geographics that were sitting there, and a pair of scissors, and I just began cutting and throwing things onto the, underneath the camera and move things around. And the other is I Can't Go Home.
Narrated by me, the Screaming Banana! Ah!
And I took them to the film pool. I put soundtracks with them, just a single track of sound, and I asked them for a bit of money to complete them. I always make at least 2 films for every grant I get. When I was getting started, one inspiring thing was Star Wars. And I know one of the first things we were animating was claymation to kind of redo the chess scene. And I really fell in love with clay and working with sort of these thick characters, not trying to make them look like people. Most of the time, clay is just too soft, and it moves on its own. You can't animate it very well. But the Star Wars characters, they were just sort of amorphous, monstrous things. A similar version of them in clay was moved really nicely. And they could be violent. We had some programs here at the university, which I took because I wasn't doing well at other things and I didn't want to drop out of school. So I had taken some film classes as electives, and I just kind of caught on. I was just loving doing it, and you could be a little bit wrong. You could be a filmmaker and go, I kind of got 82% of this idea in place. I can operate this machine or this device at 66% efficiency, and I can still get something. When I was doing my first Super 8 films, there was no knowledge of it. Was just hobbyist. There was no idea that anybody in Canada was making films. So the dream of like having a job, no, it was more just avoiding real life.
I don't want to be like some 70s guy dancing the night away until I outlive my usefulness.
Oh. Animation became the thing, my go-to thing. At first it was purely for myself. But as the films I made got a little bit of attention and were funny, I had a couple different people approach me and say, can you deliver that as a product? And I said, well, yes, because there was a paycheck there.
Would anyone want to buy a slightly used cartoon character? Cheap.
I had to bring up my game. It wasn't, I couldn't be 80%. I couldn't say, 80% of the frames are pretty good. And that might be acceptable when I'm working with the Screaming Banana.
Yes! I remember Dill and Dill! They were great! Ah!
But it wasn't acceptable if I have to deliver it to a client. So I had to really bring up the standards, which was fun and interesting and exciting. But what starts happening when you start doing multiple projects like that is that the animating becomes the work. And then when I say, okay, now what do I do for fun? What do I do to express myself, my own creativity? But it's taken me a while to kind of get back to animation as a creative outlet. There's a difference between animating on your own schedule and animating to a deadline. If you don't like animation, it's all going to be tedious. If you do like animation, then it falls into those two categories. I was working at 7-Eleven, and at the same time I was doing that, I was kind of getting really accustomed to being up all night. One of my professors, he was leaving Regina, Simon Shonowski, he left me a roll of Clear Leader. It was about a half-hour roll of Clear Leader. So I just declared to myself that I was going to make a half-hour film on Clear Leader. I was trying to adapt the Lovecraft novel Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath. I just stayed up all night and I would listen to the radio. And I think that's when I first experienced back pain. Hunched over, bad lighting, trying to draw with Sharpie markers onto this film. I had little systems for tracing different things, and I could have continuing characters. We'd kind of come back to them. It's all in order. So when you see the film, that's the order I made it. There's no editing in it. I can almost feel my back tightening up as I think about doing that film.
About the back pain, though, I think that's an occupational hazard of animators.
I think so. You're going to get rejected. It doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter how successful your last project was. Any of that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter how poor you are. You're going to get rejected. And you just have to try again. Experiment and find your own voice. Find your own way of making something. Find new ways that, well, have fun. Have fun and experiment. Whatever it is that you figure yourself out. As you figure yourself out, figure out what's unique about yourself, and then make sure that comes across on the screen. Click. Click.